It's Perp back with another video, and I just got done checking out episode 6 of Let the Right One In, season 1. Man, this season just keeps getting better and better. I feel like it does a lot of things different that I wasn't expecting. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get right into it. I don't want to waste no more time because we have a lot to discuss. Let me know how you guys feel about this episode in the comments below. So, I really like this beginning where we get kind of a flashback of, Eleanor getting dropped off to go be a part of this, looking at the stars, being these stargazers or whatever. And she comes across Peter's character, and it's just like the dots are starting to connect. But then there's a new player that gets introduced, a new mystery character that we have no knowledge of, but I think we're going to start to see, the backstory on who this character is, or maybe you will see more of him in season 2, but it's interesting. So we get back to present day, and this is a very lighthearted episode as far as with Isaiah, Naomi, Mark, and Ellie's character. You have Mark getting really close to Naomi, where she has this issue with the cake, and obviously people can't spell Isaiah. They spell the cake wrong, the name wrong, and he pretty much says, like, look, I can fix this, and she's like, are you sure? But not knowing that there's things being put into place behind the scenes that I don't think Mark is going to be ready for, or I think it's going to catch him off guard because, there's more clues starting to come out. And I think the results of the fingerprints still aren't clear yet, but I think once those puzzle pieces get pretty much put together, stuff is going to get really interesting. But the main focus of this episode is seeing how close these characters are becoming. With Naomi and Mark, they're starting to bond over their children, and Isaiah and Ellie are starting to bond, where Ellie kind of makes this little bracelet just as like an early present. And you know what I'm saying, Mark ends up pressing Ellie about, like, asking Ellie about, does Isaiah know what you are? And she pretty much blatantly lies and kind of flips things over, and it just becomes about Mark and Ellie trying to make the best birthday possible for Isaiah, which was really dope, and I like that. But with Mark, I think it hits different. It definitely hits different. I'll get into that a little bit later. But let's switch things over to Claire and see where her mind state is now, figuring out where everything was placed in the timeline. This is now current day Claire, and it's very fascinating because now she wants to kind of figure out and constantly experiment bit by bit to try to figure out how to really cure this. But the first step she wants to take is to figure out how to figure out the aging process of vampires, because vampires aren't aging, but you could still be a vampire but still age. That's what she wants to kind of do. And her and her brother kind of have this bumping of heads where she's taking it serious, and he kind of makes a lighthearted joke about it. And it's really interesting to see her mindset, and where she kind of is starting to embrace this life more. And I feel like she's kind of a little bit more aggressive than her father. I think she's willing to go a little bit further. And also, when we figure out that one of the monkeys is female, has her period, that what she's doing is working. So she has to kind of figure out where to go from there. But before I go any further, let's switch it back over to Naomi, Mark, Ellie, and Isaiah. And they're all kind of getting ready, just having a good time, going out to this fair to just enjoy Isaiah's birthday and whatnot. And this was really dope, having this little moment between our characters where you have this little funny moment of Naomi not falling for the scam that most of these carnival kind of games are. And that was a really cool moment, and it made Mark smile. This was good for Mark's character as well, but also you could just see the guilt behind all that, behind the little crooked smile and stuff and whatnot. But what I like in this whole entire carnival scene is where they first get there. Mark does the whole hit the mallet and see how far you can, if you can ding the bell. And Ellie does it, and she does it in effortlessly and kind of blows people's minds that were kind of watching at the time. And also we learn that their mom, Ellie's mom, used to go here as well. So Mark also kind of shares that information as well with Naomi. And also Naomi starts to kind of lean into trying to figure out who Mark really is, and she's starting to kind of fall for him as well. So she asks him what happened to his wife, or Ellie's mom, and he pretty much responds like, I don't even really want to talk about it. It's a horrible death. So is that kind of alluding to the fact that Ellie possibly had something to do with her mother's death? I'm pretty sure I mentioned that, you know what I'm saying? And it's interesting. But I like that. It was a really dope moment. Switching things, though, back to, Peter, Matt, which Matt is really playing like the father here. He's like kind of the father figure for Peter in this case, where he's like, yo, just lighten up on your sister. It's okay. She's trying to do something really incredible right now. He's a little bit too much on Claire's, tit a little bit. But then something about this conversation that goes on between Matt and Claire, something clicks with Claire, and this is where she completely just, pretty much Matt tells, not tells her indirectly, pretty much tells her indirectly, like, yeah, just embrace the darkness, just let it ride. And what I'm saying, they end up hooking up. Everybody's kind of hooking up in some type of weird way. I'm just saying as far as the adult characters. So we get back to possibly my favorite moment of this episode, where they go back to the house and they're getting ready for the cake. And this whole time behind the scenes, Ellie and Mark have been working on this cake for Isaiah. And it's this big, like, dome-shaped cake, and pretty much Mark tells Isaiah, yo, pour this, like, chocolate on it, and it pretty much cracks open like a Wonder Ball, and it ends up being, like, this cake that's on fire and stuff. And just looking at the facial expression of Isaiah, just him just filled with joy, man, and just seeing the expression on Naomi's face was really dope. And even Mark just couldn't help but smile, and it was just a really dope moment. Not knowing that it just more, like I said, it hits different, because for Mark, it just feels like he feels bad for taking out the father. You know what I'm saying? I'm correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Ellie doesn't know this as well. So that's gonna just, when that gets revealed, man, I don't know if they're gonna wait on that or if that's gonna be something for the finale. But I'm just waiting for that reveal, because that's what's gonna really be a crushing moment. But this was definitely one of my favorite moments of the episode, if not my favorite moment. Just seeing all the passion, there, and just wanting Isaiah to have a moment, have a great time. So as Ellie and Mark get ready to leave and say their goodbyes, not knowing that Ellie and Isaiah are going to have a secret sleepover, which I found that to be really hilarious, how Isaiah asked her and whatnot. Mark finally kind of makes the move, man. He makes the move on Naomi, and I think this was a mistake, and I think he kind of regrets this, but kind of really caught up in the moment to the point where, he tells Ellie, like, look, I just need to get some air, I need to get some space, and Ellie's like, yeah, don't worry, I'll be over Isaiah's. And I like this whole scene that they had between Isaiah and Ellie as well, where they kind of not really are boyfriend and girlfriend or anything like that, but they kind of just make a promise to one another. And I like how Isaiah mentions cuffing. I was like, where is this going? And then it just kind of turns into this whole pinky promise thing. It was adorable, man. But we also find out that Isaiah didn't wish, when he blew out his candles, he didn't wish for his mom to sing, but he wished that he could become a vampire. And Ellie quickly tells him, like, no, that's nothing that you want happening to you. We find out that Mark went to the church and he goes to make this confession, and he hasn't made a confession in like 10 years and almost 11 years at this point. And I think this is where we're going to get possibly a tease on what exactly happened and why he hasn't been going to church, or why he hasn't made a confession in so long. I can't wait for the next episode. But this is where I really like where Claire's character is going, where she's really embracing the darkness, really becoming this villain of the show, where she has this really nice heart-to-heart with her brother, but tells her brother, like, look, like, I can't really work on chimps any longer. At this point, I have to work on humans. So they come up with this plan to turn this random dude into a vampire so they can do experiments on him and not have to do experiments on Peter and, like, open his brain up and whatnot. Overall, I thought this was a really dope episode. I thought just everybody just brought their A game as far as their performance. Matt is kind of getting annoying at this point, but I feel like he's playing a really good just father figure for Peter, but also a love interest for Claire. Claire's like really embracing being this villain. It's really dope to see all this stuff kind of play out and how all these storylines are eventually going to clash. So let me know how you guys feel about this episode in the comments below. Till next time, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.